Am I the asshole for not telling my cousin my fiancé works at the same office as her husband? First, only post, I mainly lurk. I thought stuff like this only happened in movies, but it happened and would like some unbiased opinions. More light-hearted than some of the other posts on here. I have a cousin, Kat, who got married to Henry early this year. We weren't close as kids. She was pretty spoilt and would always brag about how much designer stuff she has. Be really mean to people under the guise of, just trying to help, etc. Don't go out of our way to interact with one another, but I do see her at family events and whatnot and we make small talk. I'm engaged to Chris, who is a software engineer. He's co-head of his department at work with 2 other people not too long ago. Chris was telling me about how they had some new employees and one of them sounded really familiar. He told me the name and I realized it was Kat's husband. Also, he and Henry hadn't met face to face yet. Kat and Henry had a huge wedding. It was really nice, but all she did for months is brag about how amazing her wedding was. The wedding stuff's died down now, so recently she started going on about how wealthy her husband is and what a great lifestyle they have. One of my other aunts celebrated her 50th about a week ago. I went with Chris and Kat was there with Henry. We were chatting and Kat was saying how Henry has a fantastic new job that pays even more than his previous one. Henry chimed in and said that they were already planning to buy a new house. Kat asked what Chris does. I said he was an engineer like Henry and he has a good job too, but I'll admit I left out where he works on purpose. She smiled and nodded, then said it's fine, she understands that I'm embarrassed and want to keep it quiet. So that was pretty much the end of our conversation. Then when we were leaving, she pulled me aside and told me to let her and Henry know if we needed help with the wedding. Obviously I knew what she meant and it was just another dig, but I said bye and left. Literally 2 days later, I get a DM from Kat and she's furious, well, as much as one can be through text, that I didn't tell them that Chris was one of Henry's bosses. Henry was shocked to see him in the office and Chris made a comment, tell Kat op and me don't need help but thanks for offering. Henry's really embarrassed and so's Kat, and she said that we made them look bad on purpose and if she knew, she'd have never made those comments. It was my duty to tell her and Henry. Chris and I had a really good laugh over this, but she sent a text out to the family group chat we have saying how she was blindsided by me. A few others said that what we did was petty and wrong. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole, and I love the way you handled it. It was better than the way I would have handled it, which would have been to publicly and loudly ask her husband how he liked working for my husband. But I have a habit of making things worse. It's not my best trait. Not the asshole. Kat is embarrassed and also annoyed she can't brag and one-up you, so she's telling you off as a way to clamber back power over you. Stand your ground and don't apologize. You can say, I understand you're embarrassed but I didn't do anything wrong. If you didn't talk down to people this would never be an issue. Ignore all the whinging and people she enlists to complain on her behalf. They are all wrong. Not the asshole. Had you said something at the moment then she would have looked bad in front of everyone. You kept to yourself. However, I do think your fiancé shouldn't have said that in the office if you didn't bother saying it before. At the office he's his boss and he won't say anything back. At the party you were all equal. So either say something there or don't say something later at the office. Not the asshole. Henry's really embarrassed and so's Kat, and she said that we made them look bad on purpose and if she knew, she'd have never made those comments. She could have just not made the comments at all and been a decent person regardless of the work relationship. Maybe she should take that as a lesson about what she says. Not the asshole. Man, you need to go full nice be here. Kat, honey, Chris is a private kind of guy, he doesn't like a big fuss. And besides, you were being so lovely and offering to help with the wedding, and you're so happy about being able to. I wasn't about to rain on your parade. You be proud of your man, babe. He's done so well. And you're so cute when you're bragging about him. Don't you dare be embarrassed because you wanted to do something nice for someone you love. Now you know and she knows that it was all about tearing you down. But if you pretend you thought she was all cupcakes and sugar, she's left without a leg to stand on. Man shrugging. Not the asshole. K and H did a perfectly good job of looking bad all by themselves without any help. Am I the asshole for bringing my baby to a child-free wedding? My cousin lives a 6-hour drive from me and the rest of our family. A few months ago we all drove over there for his wedding. Due to limited space, no children were invited to the wedding except the bride's young nieces and nephews. My baby was 10 months old at the time and I wasn't comfortable leaving him alone in an unfamiliar place with a stranger, which was a babysitter that my other cousins hired for their own kids. So I decided to bring him to the wedding. I wrote on the RSVP that I was bringing him, but he would be sitting on my lap and I would bring my own food for him. My cousin didn't say anything, so I assumed that he was okay with it. My baby cried at the ceremony, but I quickly took him out of the room. At the reception I had him with me the whole time in a body carrier. He didn't make much of a fuss and I thought everything was okay. After the wedding, my aunt, groom's mom, confronted me and told me that I was rude for bringing my baby without permission. I explained that I wrote on the RSVP what I was planning to do, but my cousin didn't object. She said that my cousin and his bride had a problem with it, but the bride didn't want to start any drama because she doesn't know me well. My other cousin's baby was 7 months old at the time, and my aunt said that he had no problem leaving his baby with the certified babysitter, and I should have done the same. And some of my cousins were upset because they thought that the groom gave me special treatment by letting me bring my baby and making them leave their kids with a babysitter. I didn't mean to start any drama. Am I the asshole? You are the asshole. Your baby literally did the thing that the bride, groom wanted to avoid: disrupt the ceremony. You had plenty of time to find a babysitter or other family member to watch your kid while you went to the wedding, but decided that you were just above the rules. People like you get on my nerves. Child-free means child-free. You do not get to change the rules of someone's wedding because you didn't want a babysitter. It's very entitled. You are the asshole. Couldn't you just have not attended? Next time stay home and send a gift. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. You can't just write in a +1. Especially a child at a child-free wedding. Your child was disruptive for the bit before you took them out, which is exactly what the couple didn't want. You disrespected the bride and groom, violated their wishes, and disrupted the ceremony. This was extremely not okay of you. If you can't find a suitable childcare arrangement, stay home. You are the asshole. Don't bring a baby. Okay, I will. You are the asshole, absolutely and without question. Child-free means child-free. If you don't want to leave your baby with a babysitter, then you stay home. You were incredibly rude. The reason a lot of people want child-free weddings is so they don't have their vows interrupted or ruined by screaming kids. Yours did exactly that. The world doesn't revolve around you and your choices. You don't get to write, "I'm bringing my kid," on a child-free invite. What is wrong with you? Am I the asshole for taking legal action against my family? I live abroad, and I just got back in town to visit my grandmother, who is in the last stage of dementia and bedridden. My grandfather, who is 92, is in good health and sound mind, so he acts as her POA, and we hired a family friend to be her caretaker. I recently found out that my grandmother's rings were missing, and when I did more research, I was told my cousin, her great-niece, had taken them, after being given them by my grandmother's caretaker, who claimed she got them from my grandfather, because she has my grandma in some recording saying she can have them when she dies. Well, my grandmother is not dead. My grandmother told a lot of people they could get a ring one day, but most importantly, she is not in good mental state and my cousins are nowhere in her will. My grandfather is very upset about his missing wedding ring, and even a ring that my late father purchased for her before he died. My cousin will not return them because of this verbal confirmation she claims she received to take all of my grandmother's jewelry, and I'm a bit irate. I contacted lawyers yesterday, but because she has a nasty tone about it and refuses to give them back to my grandfather, I'm ready to call the police officer and file a stolen property report. This will obviously cause much tension. Am I the asshole? You could call Adult Protective Services. They deal with people like your cousin all the time. Not the asshole. Call APS and get them involved as well. These people are greedy AF. Not the asshole. Your grandmother is not yet dead and they aren't in her will. Do what you have to do op. Not the asshole, and I really think you should do it. Also see how change the carer. Not the asshole. There is no written proof of such transaction. Also your grandmother seems in no condition to make such arrangement without a third-party witness. Not the asshole, but I would be looking into what else the caretaker is taking too. Am I the asshole for saying it's not my problem? My cousin Jim, 40s, has always been a problem. In trouble with the law. 3 baby mamas and has never held down a job. For some reason Jim and his mom was adored by my grandma and they could never do any wrong. Jim's mom died and now Jim has no place to stay because he was evicted from his mom's house. My grandma lives in a assisted care facility because she's low income and wheelchair bound. I went to college and mad a decent life. My grandma recently asked me to county sign for an apartment and utilities for Jim so he can get back on his feet. I said no. My grandma is threatening to go no contact over me with it, and I said that's her choice, but if she does that it means I'm cutting off my financial support for her. Extra clothing, food, streaming services. My grandma cussed at me and called me horrible names for helping my cousin. I cancelled her Hulu. The home called asking what happened, and I told them they need to change her emergency contact to my cousin because I'm not taking care of her if she treats me like that, all because I won't co-sign for my deadbeat cousin. I've never thought of a grandma as the asshole before, but I think this might be the exception. I don't love the idea of you cutting off her extra amenities, but I understand your perspective and need to draw a line. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You would be crazy to provide any support to cousin Jim, financial or otherwise. If I were you, I wouldn't even want him to know where I lived. As for grandma, if she wants to cut you off over not enabling Jim, well, why would you be expected to provide her financial support? Although, it might be a nice gesture to keep paying some small expenses for her since she's stuck in there. Just don't interact unless she reaches out to apologize. Not the asshole. Your grandma's golden child isn't your problem. Don't let her make you his new caretaker. He's old enough to stand on his own feet. Not the asshole. Feel free to go no contact or not. But she's elderly and disabled, so I would still pay for the minimal items that can give her a bit of comfort in her old age. But for sure, your cousin isn't your problem. Not the asshole. Not your clown, not your circus. Your grandmother enabled his behavior. And I would have cut her off too after that cussing out. Why is it always this kind of people who nonchalantly procreates? No worries, leaving several single mothers to fend for themselves.